Tim Leatherman. Tim, would you please approach the stage? Tim is the founder and namesake of Leatherman Tool Group and was inducted into the Cutlery Hall of Fame in 2006. As Cutlery Hall of Famer A.G. Russell put it, a huge segment of the knife industry would not be here if it were not for Tim Leatherman. In a few moments, you will see why Tim is the perfect person to induct our honoree.
Thank you, Steve. Tonight I have the pleasure of introducing our newest inductee into the Cutlery Hall of Fame, an honor, in my opinion, that is long, long overdue. Because when we think about what is famous in cutlery, not only in America, but all over the world, what knife is more instantly recognizable than the multi-purpose knife with bright red handles and the Swiss cross on the side, the Swiss Army knife, especially the Swiss Army knives made by Victorinox. The knife is an icon, and the company is an icon, but knives and companies don't become icons by themselves. It takes people, and in this case, I'm sure it took many people. But the person most responsible is the man who has led Victorinox for over 50 years, who has worked for Victorinox for over 70 years, who next year will be 90 years old, Carl Elsener III. Now, the story of the development of the Swiss Army knife is quite well known, so I won't go into a lot of detail. But I would like to remind you of a few things that give it an icon status, and then tell you a little bit about Carl Elsener. Of course, Swiss Army knives really are sold to members of the Swiss Army, and like the knives themselves, the toughness of the Swiss soldiers and their reputation for excellent marksmanship are legendary. For example, in 1912, the German Kaiser visited Switzerland to observe the fully mobilized Swiss army of 225,000 men on maneuvers. He asked the Swiss president, what would the Swiss do if Germany invaded Switzerland with an army of 500,000 men? Without missing a beat, the Swiss president replied, shoot twice. Germany did not invade. And when I say the knife is an icon, here is an example from personal experience. For some people, the aura of the Swiss Army knife even extends to its imitations. I can still remember being in a third world country many years ago in an outdoor market near a stall selling knives, when a young couple came up, and almost with reverence, you could tell they were spending hard-earned money, buy a multi-bladed knife with red handles. I wanted to rush up to them and say, wait, that's a knockoff you're buying. Save your hard-earned money. And wait until you have enough to buy the real thing. But sorry, Charles, I didn't have the heart to break the spell. I knew that they would soon find out for themselves that no one could match your quality. There are some other examples of the iconic status of Victorinox and the Swiss Army knife. Its products are featured on its country's stamps. Its products have been displayed in many museums. Its products have been to space. Its products have been given as gifts to presidents and have been given as gifts by presidents, including U.S. presidents. Its product has been on numerous movies and TV shows, most famously MacGyver. The The area in which Victorinox is located has been officially designated by the Swiss government as the Swiss Knife Valley. Letters reach Victorinox no matter how crazily addressed. Even if they're just addressed Victorinox, Switzerland, they reach the company. Other companies use the Swiss Army knife to advertise themselves. As versatile as a Swiss Army knife, as compact and complete as a Swiss Army knife. And who hasn't seen the motorized display of in a cutlery store window of a supersized Swiss Army knife with the blades moving in and out? And Swiss knives are the epitome of quality and precision. I've never ever seen a cosmetic blemish on a Swiss Army knife. Victorinox was founded on the guiding principle of providing employment for the local populace, to create a functional, well-designed, and top-quality knife, all while paying a fair wage to its workers. Today, the same principles apply at Victorinox, which means they must be innovative, efficient, frugal, and practical, which pretty much sums up the man most responsible for bringing Victorinox to the iconic status it enjoys today. Surprisingly little has been written about Karl Elsener, but I can share with you my observations from having the privilege of having met with him twice, as well as the observations of others I know who have met him. Karl Elsener III was born on the 6th of July, 1922. He joined the company in 1939 when he was only 16 years old. In 1950, he was thrust into the leadership role at the age of only 27 when his father died prematurely. There were 230 employees. By 1984, on the company's 100th anniversary, there were 810. Within the last few years, employment in Switzerland has grown to over 900. And on the company's 125th anniversary in 2009, global employment totaled over 1,700 people. The firm produces over 100,000 knives per day. Companies don't live so long and grow so much without strong leadership. Leadership in this case provided by Karl Elsener III, who has been called chief at Victorinox for over 50 years. I say chief in parentheses because Karl is a humble man who doesn't place a lot of importance on titles, but acknowledges that some of his employees sometimes address him as chief. He has an engineering mind. He is a prolific inventor. His name is listed on many patents. He's hands-on, a detail person, a perfectionist. When I met him in 2001, he had 4 pens or pencils flipped to his shirt pocket. In my mind, that's a good thing. The more the better. I only have 3. Like many of us, he's not a big fan of lawyers. He's been willing to make investments for the long term. For you and I, that probably means 5 years. But I think, get the impression for him that it means 25 years. Like many of us, he's slow to warm to new technology. In 2001, in the company's website, he didn't want to have a dealer locator feature because he believed the company's customer list was one of its most valuable assets. And why let your competitors know who your customers are? However, when it comes to new manufacturing technology, I think he's one of the first to adopt the new technology. He cares a lot about his employees. The creation of jobs and maintaining them, even in difficult times, has always been and always will be a priority. He's guided by Christian values in his daily work and in making decisions. And as you might expect, he is conservative politically and very patriotic about his country. I can tell you from personal experience, he is warmly hospitable. By all accounts, he is humble but very astute. Victorinox and his family mean the most to him, and he doesn't have many hobbies, but he is a stamp collector. He probably has one of the best collections of Swiss stamps in the world. For most of his life, until just a few years ago, he was an avid skier. He's a genius at freehand drafting. Over and over again, he's come up with an idea, quickly drew a sketch, and then months later, the final product would end up looking almost exactly like his sketch. Still today, his door is open for all the employees if they have a problem. Every Christmas, it was important to him to personally thank every employee with a handshake